Why are there so many types of salt? To get the point of wanting big crunchy salt crystals, as a garnish on fancy cookies for example. But outside of that, why do people bother with different salts? I see so many recipes asking kosher salt. Or I'll see expensive pink Himalayan salt grinders at the grocery store. Outside of texture uses, isn't salt just salt? Outside of like smoked salt and other flavored salts, yes, salt is basically salt in terms of taste and what it does for food. I personally keep three main salts around, and smoked salt just because I like it, but isn't necessary by any means. Point 1. Kosher salt. This is really the only salt you need 99% of the time, unless what you mainly do is baking. It's typically the standard salt in recipes, outside of certain exceptions. Usually it'll indicate fine salt if it isn't. Largish flakes that adhere to food well. A uniform size means that you'll typically be using the right amount if you follow a recipe. Though there is variation, as there are two main kosher salts out there, Morton's and Diamond Crystal, in the US at least, not sure about elsewhere, that differ in size. A good reason to get used to salting by taste and not by recipe. Point 2. Fine salt, without iodine. This is for use in cold liquids, baking, pickling and for popcorn mostly. Point 3. Finishing salt. This is your Maldon, fleur de sel, etc. Sprinkled on top for crunchy texture. That's all you really need, and you can certainly get away with nixing all, but kosher if you had to. And you can turn kosher into fine if needed if you have a spice grinder. Other flavored salts, different kinds of finishing salt, can be fun for sure, but I don't personally buy into the Himalayan salt, which is often just salt dyed pink anyway, or specifically sea salt or any of that. The trace minerals found in these to me can't make any difference and are just gimmicks. Iodized salt is for nutritional reasons obviously. Most of the colored salts are pure marketing, but can be used for artistic purposes. But the amount of trace minerals in them is negligible. Also, the surface area to volume ratio is going to change how salty it tastes and how much you'll need in a recipe because of how well it packs together. 1 TBSP of table salt is way more than 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. At its core, salt is just salt, NaCl sodium chloride. From there, in a culinary sense, it's usually differentiated by two factors. Point 1 is the size and shape of the salt crystals. Kosher salt has bigger crystals than table salt, for example. In cooking, many people prefer using kosher salt because it's much easier to pick up with your fingers and know how much you picked up, and it's better in applications like salting a piece of meat. The second is the presence of additional minerals. Pink salt, black salt, sea salt, etc. are all characterized by the natural presence of things that aren't salt mixed in with the salt itself. Some people like it for the appearance, or for the taste the extra minerals impart, or because they think there are some health benefits to consuming the extra minerals. This article pretty much explains everything you're asking for. But yes, all salt is sodium chloride. However, there are vast differences in harvesting and processing methods that can have a huge impact on different types of salt and when to use them. The main differentiator being density. 1 teaspoon of table salt does not equal 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. You can vastly over or undersalt a dish if you use a type other than what a recipe calls for. Hope that helps. Largely yes, salt is salt, but the impurities can alter the flavor profile _slightly _. I use local lake salt because it is dirt cheap, and there is virtually no industrial pollution where it comes from. Some will have different micronutrient profiles if you are looking for any of those in particular in your diet, but mostly, I'd be looking at texture when choosing salt for my kitchen.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next exciting video.